Discover the hidden miracle, how a loving nanny transformed the lives of two Arab millionaire twins. In the opulent suburbs of Los Angeles, Amir and Rashid lived like princes in a mansion that stretched into the horizon, yet their hearts felt the weight of a prison. At 15, they were trapped in a world where every room sparkled with luxury, but the air was filled with silence. Their father, a self-made billionaire, cared more for his empire than for his son's laughter. Their mother, forever busy with charity galas, was physically present yet emotionally miles away. The twins often retreated into the shadows, silently yearning for connection and warmth, but then Eleanor came into their lives, a nurturing presence wrapped in love. She was an American nanny in her early 40s, with soft hands and a heart that radiated kindness. Initially, they viewed her as just another employee, another face among the staff. But soon, her genuine care unraveled the threads of their loneliness. She introduced homemade dinners that felt like hugs, where laughter echoed through the walls, chasing away the hollowness that had settled in. Game nights became a new tradition, a space where stories were shared, and love flowed freely. Eleanor taught them that success wasn't just about wealth, it was about hard work, respect, the bond of family, and that life could be beautiful even within the confines of their gilded cage. Gradually, Amir and Rashid embraced her warmth like a breath of fresh air. They began to see her as a mentor, someone who showed them what it truly meant to be alive. But just when they thought they had found peace, disaster struck. An unexpected scandal erupted, tying their family to accusations of corruption that spread across social media like wildfire. They were labeled as spoiled, trust fund babies, benefits of their father's world, a world they hadn't chosen. The boys felt the sting of judgment as their peers turned away, and friendships they had held so dear washed away in a tide of gossip. They stood at a crossroads, torn between the expectations of their father, who demanded they protect the family name, and the values Eleanor had instilled in them. With the pressure mounting, they faced an agonizing choice: publicly distance themselves from Eleanor in exchange for their father's protection or risk losing everything. Amir's heart raced with confusion, fighting to earn his father's approval, while Rashid felt an unwavering pull towards standing up for what was right. The internal conflict raged on, a battle between loyalty and their true selves. Just when despair threatened to consume them, Eleanor stepped forward. She revealed her own story of hardship, a tapestry woven with threads of struggle and resilience. Her experience mirrored their pain and lit a spark of hope. Would her strength be enough to guide them through a storm of social prejudice? As they stood on the brink of understanding their own identities, the unspoken bond they shared with Eleanor glimmered like the last ray of sunlight before a storm. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The twins stood at a pivotal moment, families torn apart and futures uncertain. Would love and integrity triumph in a world that often equated worth with wealth? As they grappled with the enormity of their decision, their eyes met, unspoken words hanging in the air like a delicate promise. Would they find the strength within to redefine their legacy, or would they remain shackled by expectations? The heaviness in the air was palpable as Amir and Rashid looked at each other across the expansive living room. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows through the tall windows of their mansion, reminding them of the uncertainty that lingered. They felt exposed, as if the world was watching them through a glass wall, judging their every thought and every tear. Eleanor stood nearby, the corner of her mouth turned up in a small, knowing smile. She sensed their turmoil, her heart aching for the boys she had come to love. Her own experience with hardship had shaped her into the fighter she was. She took a deep breath and wove her way between them, her presence a soothing balm against the chaos surrounding them. Amir, Rashid, she said softly, her voice steady, it's okay to feel conflicted. It's part of growing up. What matters is how you respond to this challenge. Her words were like a lighthouse in a stormy sea, guiding them away from despair. Amir clenched his fists. But what if my father never sees it that way? What if we lose everything we've ever known? Frustration bubbled in his chest, a mix of fear and confusion overwhelming him. Sometimes losing everything can lead to finding something much more valuable, Eleanor replied, reaching out to gently place a hand on Amir's shoulder. Her touch reminded him of the warmth that had grown in their home, a stark contrast to the darkness that threatened to engulf them. Rashid, ever the dreamer, looked at his brother with determination. What if we tell the truth? What if we stand up for what we know is right? We can't keep quiet just to please them. His voice flowed with a passion that he hadn't felt in a long time. He turned to Eleanor. What if we use our story? What we've learned from you? Maybe it's time for us to be more than just our father's sons. Amir's heart raced at the thought. They could use their voices, their platform, to speak against the unfair judgments thrust upon them. The thought of facing the world was intimidating, yet exhilarating. He had spent so long yearning to find his place, and perhaps this was it. Eleanor nodded, pride swelling within her. I believe in you both. You're more than your family's last name. You have the chance to rewrite your story. It's not about the money, it's about how you treat others and what you stand for. A sense of clarity washed over them. Suddenly, the mansion felt less like a gilded cage and more like a launching pad. The twins' thoughts were a whirlwind of turmoil as they brainstormed how to approach their peers, their father, and the public with authenticity. But amid the rising excitement, doubt began to creep in. What would their father say? Would he even allow them to take such a bold step? Would they be able to withstand the backlash that was certain to follow? As the room filled with their nervous laughter and hopeful ideas, the weight of what lay ahead hovered. They had each other, and Eleanor's unwavering support. Maybe that was enough. Later that night, as they settled into silence, Amir looked at Rashid, a sense of determination shining in his eyes. No matter what happens, we have to stay true to ourselves. Rashid nodded, a flicker of fear still dancing at the edges of his mind. Right. But, what if this destroys everything we know? The question floated in the air, heavy and unresolved. They understood they were stepping into the unknown, a risky journey that could lead to liberation or downfall. But standing on the edge together, the bond they had formed through Eleanor's love gave them courage. With the dawn looming ahead, one question hung over them like a divine challenge: would they have the courage to embark on this journey, no matter the cost? The stars outside faded into the light of morning as they braced themselves for the choice that would define their lives, and just as the horizon began to glow, showcasing the promise of a new day, Eleanor sat in the quiet room pondering a threat that could change everything again. What secrets did she hold that might become necessary for their battle? The sun rose slowly, casting a golden hue across the mansion, illuminating corners that had been steeped in shadows for far too long. Amir and Rashid woke to find themselves shrouded in a mix of nervous anticipation and excitement. Today was the day they decided to take the first step into their new reality. They gathered at the breakfast table, the familiar smell of coffee mixing with the scent of freshly baked bread. Eleanor watched them as she poured 2 cups, her heart swelling with pride and concern. Could they handle the storm ahead? Would their father's power and influence overshadow their determination? Let us talk about our plan, Amir said, his voice steady, yet a hint of vulnerability shone through. They needed a roadmap, a concrete strategy for their mission. Rashid leaned in, eager to contribute. What if we start by speaking to our peers? We can use social media, maybe set up a forum where we can share our story. Eleanor chimed in, connecting with your peers is a great idea. They will relate to your struggles. You're not alone in this, many feel the pressure of expectations. Her eyes sparkled with hope, and the twins felt a renewed sense of purpose, but as they discussed their ideas, a chilling thought crept into Amir's mind. What happens when our father finds out? He'll never allow us to take this path. The weight of his father's words, the cool dismissal of dreams and emotions, echoed in his ears. What would he sacrifice to keep their family intact? Rashid paused, the bravery that had surged through him faltering for a moment. We can't go back to pretending everything is fine. We need to confront him. He has to understand our side, maybe even hear what you've been through, Eleanor. A confrontation might be inevitable. Eleanor looked deep into their eyes. Remember, honesty is transformational. It is painful, but it's necessary. She felt the tide of their emotions and knew how crucial today was. If you want to be true to yourselves, there's no avoiding the truth. You may not only stand to lose, but also gain everything you've ever wanted. The time had come for them to face the looming giant. They finished their breakfast, the air thick with unspoken fears and aspirations. Each footstep toward their father's office felt heavier than the last, and they exchanged glances that spoke volumes of anxiety and hope. As they reached the door, Amir hesitated. What if he dismisses us? What if he cuts us off? His voice was low, almost trembling, revealing the tempest inside. Rashid placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. We can't let fear hold us back. We owe it to ourselves to fight for what we believe. Amir nodded, grounding himself in his brother's energy. They entered the room, where their father sat behind a grand mahogany desk, the weight of his gaze piercing through them. The silence was thick, like a thick fog that engulfed everything. Their father's expression flickered curiosity mixed with a classic steely resolve that made Amir's heart race. Why are you here? Their father's voice boomed, deep and resonant. The answer to that question would not only change their lives but also shift their family's legacy. They were standing at a precipice. Either they would fall backward into accepted norms or leap into the bright unknown. What we want to say, Rashid began, and just then, a knock interrupted the moment, shattering the tension. The door opened, revealing a delivery boy with a package, but it wasn't just any package. It was a small, unassuming box that held a life-changing secret. Eleanor's heart raced. She felt an urgent sense that they needed to open that box, yet she also felt a gnawing fear. What would it reveal? As their father hesitated, intrigued by the sudden interruption, the twins caught a glimpse of a future where their choices could lead to liberation or despair. The air thickened with possibility, and every unspoken word lingered like the scent of rain before a storm. Amir took a breath, ready to reveal their plans, while Rashid watched the package, a promise of unexpected twists waiting just beneath the surface. Would they find the strength to unravel the truth or become further entwined in a web of constraints? The seconds stretched into what felt like an eternity as the delivery boy stood at the doorway, his expression unsure. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other, and the box in his hands felt like an anchor in the ever-rising tide of tension. Amir caught Rashid's eye, a silent understanding passing between them. They were on the cusp of something significant. Whatever lay inside that box could sway the conversation, could change everything. Their father broke the silence first, waving a dismissive hand. This can wait. What matters is what you have to say. But the delivery boy wasn't ready to relinquish the moment. Sorry, sir, but this package needs to be signed for. It's important. His voice quivered slightly, a stark contrast to their father's commanding tone. Eleanor's pulse quickened. Please, let him hand it over, she urged, firmly stepping forward. The derision in their father's eyes flashed brightly for a moment. Then he sighed, a sound tinged with reluctant intrigue. Fine. Just make it quick. The boy stepped inside, his movements cautious as if he understood the gravity of the moment. He placed the box on the desk. It's marked urgent, he said quietly before stepping back, anxiously glancing between the three of them. Amir looked at Rashid. The uncertainty in his brother's eyes was echoed in his own chest, a mix of hope and dread. They couldn't afford to lose this moment. Open it, Rashid urged, his voice barely above a whisper. Their father's brow furrowed ever so slightly, but the tension in the room compelled him. He pulled at the edges of the box, prying it open with a slow deliberation. The hinges creaked, and as the top fell back, the contents were revealed. Inside, nestled amid packing peanuts, was a photo album. It seemed ordinary enough at first, but the leather cover had clearly been worn with years of handling. "What is this?" their father demanded, irritation creeping back into his tone. Rashid reached for the album. "Let us find out," he said, his hands steady despite the storm of feelings inside him. As he flipped through the pages, the images began to tell a story, one of family gatherings, laughter, and warmth. Photos of their mother, so familiar yet so distant. Eleanor leaned in closer. These are from before you married father," she whispered, her eyes glistening. "These are from her childhood." As each page turned, memories came alive, some joyful, others holding a whisper of sadness. There was their mother, a free spirit in the sunlight, laughter in her eyes. Amir felt an unfamiliar pang echo through him. Why do we not know this side of her? Their father's stern expression softened, revealing the cracks in his tough exterior. Because he broke off suddenly, his gaze shifting to the album. A vulnerability they hadn't seen before hung in the air, fragile and shimmering. "Because you hid it," Rashid ventured, a hint of accusation lining his voice. "You never let us see her true self. We only knew the mother you wanted us to see." Tension thickened, but it morphed into something different, an opening. The possibilities of forgiveness, connection, and healing shimmered around them. "Maybe this is why we're here," Amir suggested, his voice calm yet resolute. "We need to talk about her. About us. About everything." Their father's lips pressed into a thin line, a battle of emotions flickering behind his eyes. The unspoken words seemed to fill the room, lingering like the scent of a forgotten memory. "I never wanted you," he started, but Rashid interrupted, "This is the chance for us to understand." As the weight of emotional truths hung between them, Eleanor felt hope stirring within her. The moment held the potential for transformation, for new beginnings. Outside, the world continued its rhythm, unaware of the pivotal moment unfolding within the mansion's walls. But as Amir glanced back at the photos, something deep within him stirred. The realization surfaced, pulsing with urgency, they had only scratched the surface of their family's secrets. "Is there more?" he asked, the question unspoken yet echoing in the air. Their father looked at them, uncertainty etched on his features. There's so much more. What lay ahead now felt daunting, but amid the shadows, a new light flickered. The truth beckoned to be uncovered, and with it, perhaps their true family story. What else could the album unveil? And in the fragile space of honesty, would they each find the courage to bare their souls? Rashid's heart raced. "What do you mean by that?" he pressed. The unsteady breath their father let out was heavy with years of unspoken truths. Eleanor instinctively stepped closer, her curiosity piqued. "Please, just tell us. We all deserve to know." Suddenly, the room felt smaller, as if the walls were closing in, amplifying their father's tension. He ran a hand through his hair, the same gesture they had all seen 100 times before, but today it felt different, more vulnerable, like he was wrestling with demons that had long been buried. "Your mother wasn't just a woman who cooked and cared for you," he began, his voice barely a whisper. "She was a fire, a force of nature. I met her when I was a different person, driven by ambition, blind to the world around me." He exhaled slowly, as if releasing years of frustration. Amir felt a knot form in his throat. What happened? The delivery boy stood at the door, forgotten now. "Life happened," their father said, finally meeting their eyes. "Responsibilities. Expectations. I thought I was protecting your mother by controlling the narrative. I never meant for it to come to this." The weight of his admission hung between them, palpable and thick. Rashid's cheeks flushed red. "But you did hide her. You took her light and bottled it away like some precious treasure." Their father flinched at the words, guilt washing over his features. For the first time, Amir saw a glimpse of remorse. "I thought I was preserving her for you, keeping the image of the woman you all adored. I was wrong. I'm sorry." As the words settled in the room, silence gripped them. Eleanor reached a hand toward Rashid, squeezing it tight as their father seemed to shrink before their eyes. "Can we fix this?" she asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper, yet filled with the depth of hope. "Can we bring her back? Can we honor the real her?" "Maybe," their father replied hesitantly, eyes darting towards the album. "But I'm afraid of reviving the past. It was complicated." "I remember," he drifted off, eyes clouding with memories. "What do you remember?" Amir coaxed gently. "Things I wish I could forget, the arguments, the sorrow. It nearly tore us apart. The very love she brought into our lives became the thing that broke us." A single tear slipped down his cheek, unveiling the cracks in his stoic facade. The image of their mother faded a bit in Rashid's heart as he processed this. "So you locked everything away? Is that why you forced us to be so different from her?" Their father seemed to wilt at the question. "I didn't want you to suffer as we did. But in doing so, I may have robbed you of knowing her spirit." In that moment, something shifted in the dynamic of their family. The air thick with vulnerability became a fertile ground for regeneration. Amir felt his heart crack open just a little wider. "How can we reclaim her, Dad? Is there more we need to learn from her?" Their father hesitated, seemingly grappling with his next move. He cast a wary gaze at the album. "Perhaps," he finally said, resignation creeping into his tone. "There are more secrets, more stories that have been tucked away." Eleanor leaned forward, intensity lighting her eyes. "We can handle it. Together. We have to know the truth." Amir mirrored his sister's determination, feeling a fire ignite within him. He glanced again at his brother, who nodded in silent agreement. "If there's more, we want to hear it. If there are stories hidden within this photo album, let us unveil them. We're ready." Just as their father opened his mouth to respond, the phone began to ring, a shocking interruption, but the urgency felt piercing. He scrambled to answer, and as he did, the atmosphere shifted. "What now?" Rashid mumbled, the burden of yearning still fresh in the air. Eleanor rolled her eyes. This could be a setback. Or perhaps, but their father spoke, his voice steady but tinged with urgency. "It's about your mother." Amir's heart stopped, and the world outside stood still. What truth lay on the other end of that call? Who was calling, and what did they have to say about her? Questions surged within him. This could change everything again. "Is she?" Rashid started, his breath hitching. The call continued, but Amir's mind raced. They had opened the door to their mother's hidden world. Now, it seemed, more revelations awaited. What would they discover next? The sound of the phone ringing amplified the tension in the room. Their father's voice, steady yet laced with emotion, echoed through the air. "Yes, I understand," he said, his entire demeanor shifting. Rashid's chest tightened, heart thudding loudly as he strained to hear the whispered words coming from the receiver. Eleanor shifted beside him, anxiety pooling in her stomach. She gripped Rashid's hand tighter, both of them needing the comfort of each other. Amir held his breath, trying to catch bits of the conversation. Was it about their mother? Was there something they hadn't known all along? After a moment that felt like an eternity, their father's expression faltered, and he quickly turned away, stepping deeper into the shadows of the living room to shield them from whatever news he was receiving. "What's happening?" Rashid whispered, his voice barely above a breath. Eleanor shook her head, eyes wide with concern. "We have to hear what he is saying." Moments later, their father returned, face pale, brow furrowed in concern. "It seems your mother, she left something behind," he said slowly, the words barely coming out as he forced them through a tight throat. "Left what behind?" Amir questioned, his curiosity mingling with a growing fear. "A package," their father explained, rubbing his temples as if trying to ease a headache. "She arranged for it to be delivered today. I think it's meant for you." "For us?" Eleanor echoed, her interest piqued yet tinged with confusion. Why now? I don't know. But the woman on the phone, she mentioned some letters. Something addressed directly to each of you, their father admitted, glancing away, guilt shadowing his features. Rashid felt unease coil in his stomach. Letters? What could she have said? Eleanor's gaze bore into their father, studying him closely. Where is it? We need to see it. I'll have it sent here, he replied, voice tremoring slightly. But it might take some time. I can't promise. Time? Amir interrupted, the urgency creeping into his speech. We don't have time to waste. If she wanted us to have this, we should do everything we can to get it. Their father winced as if struck by Amir's insistence, but he nodded slowly, perhaps seeing the drive in his children. Fine. I'll call them back. But remember, whatever is in those letters may change how you see her. Are you ready for that? A resounding silence blanketed the room, thick with unspoken fears and hopes. Rashid felt the weight of the question hanging in the air, and it brought a familiar turmoil. We have to be, he whispered, conviction coursing through him. Moments later, their father's phone rang once again, and he answered with a new tension. Yes, I'm still here, he relayed, voice steadying. Eleanor leaned forward, her eyes begging for information, breathless with anticipation. As their father conversed, Rashid allowed his mind to wander, contemplating what kind of truths those letters could hold. What did they reveal about a woman who was more than just a shadow in their lives? After what felt like an eternity, their father hung up, his expression a mixture of relief and tension. It will be here soon, he said, leaning against the counter for support. But I can sense it's not all good news. Rashid felt a chill run down his spine. Are we ready for this? Could they really handle the truth their mother might have left behind? He glanced at Amir and Eleanor, unity in their shared determination reflected in their eyes. They were in this together, whatever it took. Just as a faint sound of a car pulling into the driveway reached their ears, a sense of dread and excitement washed over Rashid. This was the moment they had both longed for and feared, puppeteered by a tantalizing blend of hope and apprehension. What if this brings us closer to understanding her? Eleanor said, almost to herself, her voice quaking with anticipation. A few heartbeats passed, and then the doorbell rang. The moment had arrived. Their eyes met, and without needing to speak, they knew they had to face whatever came next. What do you think is in there? Rashid asked, anxiety bubbling beneath his casual tone. Whatever it is, Amir replied as he took the first steps toward the door, we'll face it together no matter how hard the truth may be. Rashid followed closely, breath quickening. As they opened the door, the world beyond it seemed to hold both secrets and revelations, all waiting just for them. What would they uncover, and would it forever change their understanding of their mother? The door swung open, and a chill gust swept through the entryway, wrapping around them like a lingering memory. Standing at the threshold was a delivery man, stoic and slightly bewildered, holding a nondescript brown box. Rashid's breath caught in his throat as he stepped forward. This was it. Is this for the Adams family? The man asked, glancing up at Rashid. Yeah, that's us, Rashid replied, trying to sound more confident than he felt. He reached for the package, his fingers brushing against its rough exterior, the uncertainty inside him getting heavier with every second. Sign here, the man said, extending a pen toward him. Rashid barely registered the scrawled letters as he scribbled his name. It felt surreal, like time had slowed down as he took the package, the weight of it reminiscent of the baggage of unanswered questions they all shared. Once the delivery man left, Amir's eyes widened, the excitement welling within him as he pointed to the box. Should we open it now? Of course, Eleanor urged, her anticipation bubbling over. We've waited too long. Rashid felt a surge of mixed emotions. He could almost hear their mother's voice whispering from the depths of the cardboard, urging them forward. As he carefully peeled away the tape, his heart raced. What lay inside could shatter everything they thought they knew about her. The box creaked as he opened it wider, revealing several neatly folded letters stacked atop one another. He hesitated, then pulled out the top envelope. Rashid flipped it over, staring at the handwriting that was so familiar yet distant. It was their mother's, delicate yet deliberate. "Here, this one's for you," he said, handing it to Eleanor, who took it with shaking fingers. Amir reached for another letter, the paper crinkling under his grip. "And this one's for me," he said, his face a mixture of eagerness and fright. Rashid looked down at the third envelope, marked only with his name. The weight of it was heavy, as though it carried the memories and secrets she had held close to her heart. The moment passed in silence as they stood together, the weight of the past bearing down upon them. "Should we read them at the same time?" Eleanor suggested, glancing between her brothers. "Yeah," Amir agreed, his voice trembling slightly. "Let us do it." They nodded in unison, each taking a deep breath. Rashid felt time buckle under the anticipation. As he tore open the envelope, the scent of paper and ink enveloped him, pulling him closer to their mother's words. The letters unfolded their truths, and as he read the first lines, they gripped him like a vice. He could feel the emotion pulsing through every word, a mix of love, regret, and longing. Her voice resonated in his heart, shaping the truth they had sought for so long. "I'm sorry for everything, for the absence, for the secrets." Each sentence sprawled out on the page felt like it was reshaping his reality. Rashid looked up, meeting Eleanor's shocked gaze, and Amir's expression mirrored his own disbelief. "What is she telling us?" Rashid whispered, the urgency pounding in his chest. Tears sprang to Eleanor's eyes, and she quickly wiped them away. "I don't know, but it sounds like she wanted to explain to make things right." As they continued reading, the room seemed to shrink, and the world outside faded. Each new revelation weighed heavily, yet they couldn't look away. Their mother's words painted a picture they never knew existed, a life full of mistakes but also love. "I never wanted to be a stranger," he read quietly, and the room filled with silence. Is that what she had become? A stranger in their own home? But at that moment, the only sounds were their hearts pounding in unison and the rustling of paper as they leaned in closer, sharing the burden of their mother's past. What if uncovering her truth led them down an unexpected path, a revelation that held not just sorrow, but a chance for healing? Rashid turned again to the letter in his hands. Just as he began to read on, the door creaked in the distance, pulling their attention. Had their father returned? Emotions swirled around them like a storm. The truth hung in the air, tantalizing and terrifying. Would the letters bring them the reconciliation they yearned for, or would they unearth more wounds than they could bear? And just like that, the next chapter of their journey was poised to begin, caught in a moment that demanded courage and clarity. What would they confront next? Rashid sensed the tension in the air shift when the door creaked louder, echoing in the small living room. He exchanged uncertain glances with Eleanor and Amir, each of them acutely aware of their father's presence, the man whose silence had been more burdensome than his absence. Could he have returned just as they were unraveling their mother's secrets? "Hey, is everyone home?" His father's voice rang in from the hallway, flat yet filled with a weight they couldn't ignore. Rashid felt a flutter in his stomach as Amir looked toward the sound, tension etched on his face. "In here," Rashid called out, his voice steadier than he felt. He tucked the letters under his arm, the words still swirling in his mind like a fresh storm. The sight of their father brought forth a whirlwind of feelings: unease, anger, a touch of longing. It was a complicated mix that found a way into his heart. As their father stepped into the room, something in him shifted. Rashid could see the man was tired, the deep lines on his face carved deeper by the years of silence and strife. It was a face that could tell stories of struggle, of hope, of missed moments. "Dad," Eleanor began, her voice faltering. "We got something today." Their father's brow furrowed, his gaze darting from Rashid to Eleanor, then to Amir, who still clutched his letter. Rashid could see the flicker of apprehension in his father's eyes. Would their mother's words split them apart or pull them back together? "What is it?" he asked, brushing past them to the couch, as if hoping he could nestle into its comfort and avoid the topic simmering in the air. The letters, Rashid started but hesitated. How could they explain without igniting the old bitterness? Eleanor stepped forward. It's from Mom. She wanted us to know things. The words hung heavy, but she pressed on. We're learning about her, about who she was, and why things are the way they are. Their father's face hardened, the skepticism creeping back in. Letters? He asked, his tone laced with disbelief. Why would she want to share that now? Because she cared, Amir chimed in, a spark of courage igniting in him. She wanted us to know she loved us despite everything. Loved? Is that what you think? Their father's voice raised, carrying with it years of suppressed emotion. Rashid could feel the air grow thick, almost suffocating. It was easy for her to write words on paper, but she was never here when it mattered. A silence settled, their father's words cutting deep. No one spoke, the letters still tucked away like secrets unwilling to surface. Rashid could feel the tremors of old resentments ready to spill over. Was this the confrontation they had been dreading? A sudden resolve washed over him. Maybe we should read her letters together, he suggested, feeling the weight of each word. You might see things differently. I don't need to hear her excuses, his father shot back, but the hint of uncertainty in his voice betrayed him. Eleanor reached for Rashid's arm. Please, Dad. We all deserve to know the truth together. Rashid's heart raced. This could be the moment of reckoning or one more fracture. The tension was electric, humming with possibility. Could they bridge this chasm of silence their mother had left behind? As Rashid slowly pulled out the letters, trembling hands reaching for understanding, the air crackled with uncertainty. What revelations awaited them? The door swung shut, trapping them in. It felt like a pivotal moment in a story, a chance for breakthrough or breakdown. Let us begin, he said, and from that single line, something shifted in the room. Would the truth offer solace or stir the pot of old issues? The first words might unfold chaos or the beginning of their healing process. They settled in closer, hearts pounding, as Rashid held the first letter between them, ready to step deeper into the narrative their mother had left behind. What would happen when they first revealed her truths? Would the floodgates open to a future they hadn't hoped for, or would it all unravel in ways they least expected? As Rashid unfolded the first letter, the fragile paper seemed to sigh under the weight of years. His hands shook, a mix of anticipation and dread coursing through him. The scent of old ink filled the air, a reminder of their mother's voice, one they hadn't heard in so long. Mom, he whispered, feeling the name hover between them, a ghost lingering in the corners of the room. Okay, let us hear it, Amir prompted, his youthful bravado masking the vulnerability racing beneath the surface. Rashid glanced around the room. Eleanor's hopeful gaze met his, while their father's expression was a carefully crafted mask, a fortress holding back waves of buried emotions. Clearing his throat, Rashid began to read. The words flowed, tender yet raw. Their mother spoke of love, of her dreams for them, and the reasons she felt she had to leave. She shared memories filled with laughter, the warmth of family gatherings, and a longing for connection that never seemed to fade. I thought I could protect you, but I only created more distance, he read out loud, his voice wavering as the weight of her confession settled in the air. Rashid caught sight of his father, the mask beginning to crack, eyes clouded with emotion. It was a small victory, yet he clung to it like a lifeline. You see? She wanted us to know, to understand, Rashid urged, his voice rising with intensity. Like that changes what happened. Their father spat out, angry and broken. The words hung like an anchor, pulling them back to the past, but Rashid pressed on, unafraid of resistance. No, Dad. It's not about forgetting. It's about knowing why. Each letter was a thread, weaving together the tapestry of their family. Rashid read on, revealing her fears and regrets, how she battled the demons within while yearning to be closer, yet feeling miles away. Eleanor leaned in, a soft light igniting in her eyes as she murmured, she wanted us to forgive her. Amir bit his lip, and Rashid felt a rush of solidarity among them. They were not alone in their shared pain. Each revelation from their mother stitched them closer together, as if she were reaching across time, hoping to unite them as a family once more. Their father turned his face away, tears glimmering in his eyes. "She left," he whispered, voice cracking. "How can I forgive that?" "Because she loved us," Rashid replied, conviction threading through his tone. "She just didn't know how to show it." The next letter felt like stepping into a new world. In it, their mother painted a picture of hope, of the dreams she had for her children, wild and beautiful, ready to be chased. "You all are my light. I wanted to see you grow, to watch you succeed," Rashid read, images blooming in his mind of a woman who loved deeply. Even from afar, something stirred in their father's eyes. The wall around his heart seemed to tremble. Rashid dared to hope that perhaps a bridge could be built, a path forward, lit by understanding. "Please, Dad," Eleanor said softly. "She's reaching out to us." The room fell silent as their father wrestled with his emotions. Could he let that wall fall? Rashid could feel the energy shift, uncertainty mingling with a flicker of possibility. Perhaps this was the turning point they'd been yearning for. As Rashid reached the end of the letter, a sense of calm washed over him, but the tension remained palpable. There was so much left unsaid, feelings packed tightly like the letters that had sparked this conversation. "What happens now?" Amir asked, the question heavy with unspoken fear and hope. Rashid purged a breath, a decision forming in his mind. "Now we honor her and each other. We take this step together." But just as he finished speaking, the door rattled. A loud knock echoed through the room, shaking them from their shared moment. Who could it be? Would this unexpected disturbance derail their fragile beginnings of healing? "Who's there?" Rashid called, feel a rush of anxiety. He could feel the air tighten, each heartbeat fueling the silence. The answer would change everything. The door swung open, revealing a familiar face, one that held an air of authority mixed with anxiety. It was their mother, South, former close friend, Layla, her expression a mixture of hope and fear. "I heard there was a delivery," she said, stepping into the room, her voice barely above a whisper. Amir shot a surprised glance toward Rashid and Eleanor. They hadn't expected anyone else today, especially not her. Layla had been a part of their lives during happier days, long before their mother's spirit had faded away. "Layla," Rashid breathed, bolting upright, the tension rising once more. "Yes, I came as soon as I heard," she said, her gaze shifting from the twins to their father, her eyes darting with questions. I have news about your mother." The air thickened, and a tremor of anticipation ran through them. What could she possibly mean? Could it be more letters? More secrets? Rashid felt his heart quicken, ready to explode with uncertainty. "Is she?" Amir started, his voice trailing, the question hanging heavy in the room. Layla shook her head slowly, sorrowful. "No, she isn't here. But before she passed, she wanted to make sure you all knew how much she loved you. And she wanted to share something important with you." Her hands trembled as she pulled out a wrapped envelope from her bag, its corners yellowed, worn with age. It felt like time itself was standing still, freezing the moment with impending revelations. "What's this?" Eleanor asked, taking a step closer, her eyes wide. Layla handed it over reluctantly. "She entrusted it to me to deliver when the time was right, and I believe that time is now." Rashid felt overwhelmed. A wave of emotions surged up as he reached for the envelope, much like the letters they had just read. Unraveling the worn paper, he could sense his mother's fingerprints still lingering, whispering through time. "What does it say?" Amir urged, his voice thick with anticipation. With shaking hands, Rashid began to read. The writing was unmistakably their mother's, a blend of familiar sentiment and deep reflection. She spoke of love, sacrifice, and the unfulfilled dreams she had for them. She expressed her wish for them to know her not just as a mother but as a woman who fought against the odds for her family, despite her shortcomings. I wanted more for you, more than I could give. I was afraid of what I was losing along the way. Tears pooled in Eleanor's eyes, and Rashid felt his heart squeeze tightly as he read on, absorbing the depth of her words. I was never ashamed of you. You too are my heart, my hope. Keep my love close. It's a part of you, always. The room fell into a deep silence as they absorbed her final reminder that no matter how scattered their family seemed, they held the ability to reconnect, redefine, and heal. Their father's expression cracked wide open, vulnerability flooding his face. She wanted this for us? He asked softly, his voice wavering with emotion. Yes, Layla replied, her voice steady yet compassionate. She believed in your ability to choose love above everything else, to rewrite your family's narrative. And in that moment, everything shifted. The heaviness that had once anchored their hearts began to lift, allowing space for healing. They were no longer just Amir and Rashid, the boys whose mother had drifted away. They were children of hope, capable of binding together. Can we forgive? Amir whispered, looking at his father, the question filled with hope and trepidation. Rashid held his breath. Would they finally bridge the chasm that years of silence had caused? Yes, their father murmured, a single tear spilling down his cheek, illuminating a path forward. If she could forgive, maybe we can too. In that instant, something profound connected them, an understanding that would redefine who they were as individuals and as a family unit. Each letter, every revelation had led them to this moment of clarity, a moment solidified by their mother's love and the desire to shape their futures. Rashid turned to Eleanor. Thank you for believing in us. No, thank you for believing in each other. And as they stood together in that stunning mansion, filled with memories both fractured and beautiful, they knew they were no longer held captive by the weight of expectation. Instead, they were free, guided by love, forgiveness, and an unbreakable bond forged in truth. This was their new beginning, and it was just the start of rewriting their story. Now, it's your turn. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment below about your reactions and feelings about this ending, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation.